The ANC's 111th birthday celebrations are well underway. They're hosting a gala dinner tonight as part of those celebrations. The tables auctioned for around 1 million rand to dine with the party president, Cyril Ramaphosa, with various business people and influential individuals from different sectors of society, using the opportunity to mingle with ANC officials. Meanwhile, the party uses the event to raise funds, of course. Let's listen in to proceedings now.
Have a bigger venue. Otherwise, we will go elsewhere because the demand seems to be very high by today's standards. I also stand here before you celebrating the 111th anniversary of our glorious movement, the African National Congress. We appreciate that there were times when the brand had been dented. And I think, as the President will share with you, we are on a path, an irreversible path of renewal, working together with and working for South Africa to build a better South Africa and a better world. Indeed, we also are here to ask you to be with us to strengthen the management of democracy. I've been heard, and correctly so, and quoted to say that the relationship with you cannot be and should not be transactional. It must be a relationship of compacting, a relationship of building social cohesion, a relationship of patriotism, to fund those that are at the forefront of managing our democracy, at the forefront of coordinating us as a nation to indeed protect and defend the gains and advance our development trajectory. So I actually thought that this event won't be successful when I was quoted around having uttered those words. And I'm greatly inspired that South African corporate and business agrees with me. Your mere presence here endorses the fact that this is our democracy. No one will come from outside to build it. We must build it ourselves together. And this is part of it. We have just taken a resolution that which was sponsored by the finance team, that we are asking South Africa to fund its democracy fully by funding political parties, especially those that are in parliament. That will help us to really know that we can hold the political parties accountable and that there will not be undue negative influence which undermines or which can undermine the integrity and the interest of us as a collective, South Africa. We have benchmarked with the other advanced economies and advanced democracies, and that is the route to go. This is one of the gestures that humbles us, that many South Africans believe that it is okay to fund political parties to do what they know best, to give inspiration and to coordinate our efforts of building patriotism and advancing our country. That's all I have for you today. My job is cut out. I don't as yet have in my diary all the program that Ms. De Bruyn has outlined, but what can I do? I must just follow suit. So the women of South Africa in corporate are saying we can't celebrate forever. After tomorrow's celebration, my job is cut out. So I'm on the road. I'll be visiting you. I'll be also helping you to ensure that we create a positive investor-friendly environment, and that we build brand South Africa together for its own citizens in terms of inclusive growth and a shared prosperity, but also for our joint and collective benefit. Having said so, I'll have more hours with you. I know that when you deal with business, you must be brief, to the point, and I will certainly practice to do so. And it is my pleasure and privilege to call to the podium our one and only, His Excellency, the President of the African National Congress and the President of the Republic of South Africa, none other but President Cyril Ramaphosa, to address us. Thank you.
Amandla. Amandla. Viva ANC, viva. Viva COSATU, viva. Viva SACP, viva. Tsuha Sanko, tsuha. Amandla. Program directors, my two sisters, Khadija and Sonia. One of the things that the national chairperson does very well when he chairs meetings, when there seems to be commotion and all that, he pauses and tells us all to pause until those that he identifies who are causing commotion have finished. He says, let's wait until they finish, and then we will continue with our meeting, because that helps to expose them. So learn from the national chairperson. Deputy President Paul Mashatile, the national officials, as they have already been introduced, members of the National Executive Committee, distinguished guests in all your iterations, both local as well as from a number of other countries, who have honored us with your presence tonight. A special word of thank you to all of you for joining us for this Patriotic Business Forum dinner, as hosted by our newly minted and elected Treasurer General, who has, in her very first dinner, sold out all the tables, with many people clamoring to be part of this. We welcome you to this gala dinner, which is on the eve of the 111th anniversary of the formation of our movement, the African National Congress. It is significant that we have returned here to Mangaung, the birthplace of the African National Congress, to celebrate this occasion. When we turned 100 years, we also came here to Mangaung. The people who gathered here 111 years ago to found this great movement were from all walks of life. There were traditional leaders from various parts of Southern Africa, not only South Africa, but Southern Africa. There were religious leaders, there were intellectuals, there were professionals, and there were many ordinary South Africans who also graced the occasion for the formation of the ANC. In remembrance of the leaders of our movement and those members who would have been present, we have started a tradition of pilgrimages. Pilgrimages to the gravesides and to the homes of our departed leaders in areas where we hold our January 8th celebrations. Being here in Mangaung has given us a great opportunity to visit the homes and gravesides of our departed leaders. The officials and a number of members of the National Executive Committee, the provincial leadership as well, and the regional leaders of our movement here in the Free State in Mangaung had the honor, and I would add a privilege, of going to pay our tributes to three of some of the outstanding former leaders of our glorious movement. This province can truly claim and they can really boast of being the home of legends as well, in that it is not only the birthplace of the African National Congress, but was the home of three outstanding leaders. We were able to visit the gravesite and the home of Thomas Mtobi Mapikela, who was born on the 12th of November 1869, and whose family moved to Waihoek. And tomorrow we will go to the actual site and church where the ANC was formed in Waihoek. He became a carpenter and a builder by profession, and later became active in politics, the politics of the African National Congress. He was one of the founders of the ANC and became an NEC member. And then he became the Speaker of the ANC for 28 years, from 1912 until 1940. And due to his multilingualism, this put him in a better position to continue as Speaker of the organization. In 1913, he was part of the delegation which traveled to Britain protesting against the 1913 Land Act, which afforded black people only 8% of the land in South Africa. In 1919, Ntate Mapikela was involved in the drafting of the South African National Congress Constitution, which was a policy statement of the organization for many years. He became a very successful business person in the construction industry, but he later felt the full effect of oppression and exploitation of the colonial government then, which was clearly arraigned against black people making any progress in participating in the economy of their own country. In 1903, Mapikela set up his own independent building construction enterprise. He was engaged in making furniture of many descriptions for schools, for churches around Mangaung. When we visited his home, we could see the wondrous carpentry work that he had created himself with his own hands. His business was involved in the erection of timber roof trusses, timber roof trusses are quite complicated to put together, but he was involved in that and the installation of manufacturing of specialized timber items. Now, what I found significant was a speech that he made on the 25th of November in 1940, where he said, "I am the man who made all the furniture for Grey College." And Grey College is a leading school here in the Free State. And he said, the man who also made all the furniture at the University of the Orange Free State. And some Europeans asked why a native should be allowed to take the bread out of the mouth of their children. He continues, "Not that I do not understand my trade, but a member of parliament, the then obviously colonial parliament, said that he would not allow a native to do the work which should be done by Europeans." This is what he said in 1940. The restrictions imposed on him to conduct his business were to be applied against black people throughout the country and are the colonial and apartheid legacy that the African National Congress is having to deal with today. We also had the honor of visiting the home and the graveside of Reverend Zacchaeus Richard Mahabane in Seisoville in Kroonstad. He was elected the president of the African National Congress from 1924 to 1927. While in Kimberley, he became the secretary of the African Christian Ministers Association of the Diamond Fields. In 1937, he was elected president of the ANC for his second term. When his term as the ANC president ended in 1940, he became the official chaplain of the ANC and was elected as a lifelong honorary president of the ANC in 1943. So, National Chairperson, continue doing your work. You may become chosen as the lifelong chairperson of the ANC one day. Our pilgrimage also took us to the graveside and the home of Dr. James Moroka, who was elected as the president of the ANC by the support of the ANC Youth League and its leaders Walter Sisulu and Nelson Mandela in December of 1949. During Dr. Moroka's presidency, the ANC started to implement more militant and radical tactics in fighting the country's apartheid regime. Now, the honor of embarking on this pilgrimage has given us, those who participated in the pilgrimage, the very rare opportunity to be on the hallowed ground of greatness, of great experience, which many of us found both inspirational and uplifting. The ANC is not only the oldest liberation movement on the African continent and possibly in the world, but is also a movement with a great history that has a galaxy of leaders who sacrificed greatly, but also led our people very wisely. These leaders and those who were there when the ANC was established were a diverse group representing many cultures, languages, yet they were united by a common belief in the equal right of all South Africans to dignity, respect, and freedom. In their honor, let's give them a round of applause and thank them for the excellent work. Now, throughout its history, its leadership and membership, in its programs and policies, the ANC has reflected this great diversity of people pursuing a common vision. And we learn from this history that the achievement of a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous South Africa requires the involvement of all sections of our society. That is why the presence of so many of us here tonight, and many representing business, is so important to the mission of the African National Congress, as the Treasurer General was saying. The Patriotic Business Forum brings together business people from companies, both large and small, who share our commitment to the fundamental transformation of our economy and society. We do believe that this is the bond that binds us all together, and your presence here confirms precisely that. The members and supporters of the PBF recognize that all South Africans, wherever they are, and whatever they do, need to be part of finding solutions and to be part of addressing the challenges that we face and to be part of building our country. And this is what we thank you for, and we welcome you and applaud your commitment and contribution to this task. The fact that this gala dinner has been oversold and oversubscribed, for us proves indeed that you are willing, prepared to be part of this whole journey of rebuilding our country and indeed of rebuilding and revitalizing the African National Congress. So I truly thank you for being here. Thank you very much indeed. We are celebrating this anniversary just days after the ANC concluded its 55th National Conference. And because we were unable to complete the work of conference when we met in Nasrec in December earlier this week, we convened a hybrid forum to consider the reports from commissions and to adopt resolutions. The 55th National Conference was an important moment in the life of our movement. Delegates reaffirmed the determination of the ANC members that they represented to the conference to renew and to rebuild the ANC. And to reiterate what the TG said, this process of renewal of the African National Congress and its unity, it's not only irreversible, it's irrevocable. It will not be stopped. The delegates who were present at the conference resolved as one to put behind us the harmful organizational practices and tendencies that have contributed to the decline of the ANC in recent years. They stood firm to renew and to unite our organization. And in fact, there is no longer any room left for those who are opposed to the renewal process. No room at all. And there is no longer room left at all for those who want to sow seeds of divisions in the African National Congress. The delegates to the conference made a resounding call for unity based on the values and the principles of our movement, They said that this unity should be forged through the process of renewal and through a program of action that places the needs and the interests of South Africans above everything else and above anybody else's interests. And the resolution that we adopted at the conference are focused both on the immediate challenges that our country faces and the fundamental transformation of social and economic relations that are necessary to build a better life for all South Africans. The resolutions that we took, which we will also be outlining in the statement that the National Executive Committee crafted last night, which will be released tomorrow, sets out clear actions that need to be taken as a matter of urgency to resolve a number of challenges that face our country. Load shedding in the shortest possible time, and to ensure that the country's energy security is well positioned into the future. Those resolutions place inclusive economic growth and employment creation as central amongst the tasks that we must undertake. And this requires that we intensify the investment drive. And for us, it is so important to have so many of you who are in business, who drive the investment process, be it in small, medium enterprises, be it in large corporations, and also those who may not be here, but who may either read about our resolutions tomorrow and going forward. What we are focused on is to ensure that we create that environment so that your businesses, small or big, are able to invest, and we want to intensify the investment drive that we launched in 2018 as well. We are working to reduce red tape and to improve the competitiveness of our economy through far-reaching reforms in a number of sectors of our economy. The conference also resolved that infrastructure investment needs to be increased substantially and that the plans need to be translated into the construction of roads, the closing of the potholes in our country, the building of bridges, the enhancement of our power lines, the building of dams, water treatment plants, schools, houses, student accommodation, and other social and economic infrastructure. And this infrastructure investment is needed to stimulate economic activity, to expand the capacity of our economy, and to provide the services that South Africans need. There was an appreciation amongst delegates that growth and jobs should really be driven by the small, medium enterprises, by cooperatives and the informal businesses, but that government should also play its own role through the various state-owned enterprises to contribute in this process of creating jobs. They called on government and the private sector to expand the financial and other support to small, medium enterprises and to ensure that this support does indeed have the greatest impact. And a special emphasis and focus will be on the empowerment of women-owned and youth-owned businesses, because these sections of our society have had limited access to opportunities. This we shall do and will focus on. And there is similarly a need to support the growth of township and rural economies, bringing commerce, trade and finance to the places where most of our people live. Each time the national chairperson goes to Gala, where he was born, and I try to talk to him on the telephone, our calls often get cut off. And he says, President, whilst I may be in the metropolitan city of Gala, I don't have good connectivity. We now must focus on ensuring that as we seek to build rural economies, we ensure that there is good and better connectivity. And in this regard, my heart always goes out to him because, as you know, with his very deep, rough voice, he talks quite a lot and wants to talk to me on the telephone, but we often get cut off. And sometimes I'm happy that we get cut off. An important part of rural development is the acceleration and redistribution of land and the provision of support to ensure that the land is put to good use and it is productive. The 55th National Conference reaffirmed our policy on land reform. The resolutions that we have taken in the past are reaffirmed, and we will also be focusing on new measures that are going to ensure that we do move ahead with our land reform process. The growth of an inclusive economy is a vital part in our fight against poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Delegates agreed that the state has a responsibility to provide support to vulnerable South Africans in a manner that is affordable and sustainable. Other resolutions to tackle poverty focus on scaling up the provision of housing and delivery of service, ensuring that our municipalities provide quality, affordable services to all residents. We will be focusing on the performance of our municipalities. Many of our municipalities are dysfunctional and are performing below par, including the municipality of this very metro city where we are. Our people are clear that we've got to reposition various municipalities, including Mangaung itself, and we shall do so. Delegates also focus on an area that sometimes we don't pay close attention to, which is early childhood development and the promotion of technical and vocational education to ensure that the country has skills that are needed to grow and develop our economy, and felt that we need to embark on a skills revolution process that will ensure that we do indeed have the skills that our economy needs. The conference also resolved to prioritize safety and security of the people of our country. These are a number of resolutions that were taken, but we also focus on international policy and the posture that South Africa needs to have, particularly as we now have a multipolar world where we need to play a key role as South Africa, and we will be playing that role this year as we start being the chair of BRICS, and when we will convene a BRICS summit later this year in the third part of the year, and bring the BRICS countries and partners together, as well as a number of outreach countries, particularly on our own continent and beyond, and where South Africa, including all of us, and I'd like to say the business community will need to play a key role in the BRICS Business Forum would like to see South African business showcasing its capability, showcasing its pride as South Africa's business as we interact with the 4 BRICS countries and the rest of other countries. So, comrades and friends, this is our year as South Africa on the international stage. This is the year when we must showcase what our country has to offer in leadership, in capability, in cooperation, working together, in the social compacting that the TG was talking about. I'm very pleased to hear about the various plans that have been announced by my 2 sisters, Khadija and Sonia, about how the business community, be it part of the Patriotic Business Forum and beyond, are going to be interfacing with the African National Congress and our government in a variety of iterations where we will be exchanging views and discussing quite a number of things. Now, these are some of the outcomes of our conference. Many more will be outlined in the National Executive Committee's statement to be released tomorrow. But they'll also be part of the program of action for 2023 that will be announced, yes, in that statement. Over the course of the next few weeks, we will engage with various constituencies, formations, and I'm glad to hear what the women in business are planning to do. We will do so as we interact with you on the resolutions that we adopted in our conference, because we are determined to work with all South Africans to advance our vision and to undertake a program of transformation. We will do so as we seek to consolidate the various compacts. And we've been involved in a process where we've had quite a number of sectoral compacts, both at NEDLAC and elsewhere. The Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Summit also presents itself as a compact. When we met social organizations, they also came up with a compact, and a number of other areas we are building compacts. Obviously, we want this to culminate in a more comprehensive compact, and all these are building blocks to be part of that comprehensive compact. And we would therefore like you as business people to join us to build this cohesion, this compact. And this is the year when we would like to see all of us working together, not pulling asunder. The African National Congress has put in place clear policies, a clear vision, but the glue that will keep all this together is our total commitment to the renewal process, because it is through this renewal that the ANC becomes much more effective. It is through this renewal and unity that we are able to bring the various forces to be part of this movement going forward. So we are pleased that your presence here is a clear indication of your interest, not only in the work of the ANC, but also in the direction that our country will be taking into the future. It is a fitting tribute to the intent of the founders of our movement more than a century ago to forge a broad struggle for the achievement of freedom and equality. We are grateful to all of you that you are present here this evening, and to all members as well as supporters of the PBF, the Patriotic Business Forum, and for your continuing support and your commitment not only to the ANC, but to the people of our country. It is through your support that we will be able to build this country and make it a successful country. The ANC is irrevocably committed to that. Join us as we go on with this process. Thank you very much.
Ramaphosa itesha. As we used to say. Amandla!
Gawethu!
Long live President Ramaphosa! Long live!
Long live!
Over to you, Comrade Sonia.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. President advised us to pause. So we shall pause.
We are pausing.
These are live pictures come to you from Bloemfontein. You'd have just heard President Cyril Ramaphosa giving the keynote address at the gala dinner that forms part of the ANC's 111th birthday celebrations. We'll have more after this.